Life Unscripted Podcast with Rosabel, the place where genuine conversations meet inspiring stories, personal growth, and a dash of humor. I'm Rosabel, your host, inviting you to embrace life's unpredictable journey. Celebrate your unique story and find joy in everyday moments. Get comfortable, stay curious, and let's explore together. Unscripted, unapologetic, and unstoppable. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Life Unscripted Podcast, where we celebrate authentic voices and powerful stories that move us forward. I'm your host, Rosabel Zohfeld, and today I have the honor of speaking with a truly inspiring guest. His name is Dan Shaker. Dan is the founder of HopeLives LLC. He's a certified behavioral analyst trainer, and he's also the member of the John Maxwell team. His work is centered on empowering purpose-driven leaders to create impact with courage, compassion, and confidence. Dan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, hey, thanks for the opportunity to be here. I'm excited.
Well, let's start. How about we start a little bit with your company, HopeLives LLC. Tell me what inspired you to create this platform, and perhaps let us know how it serves leaders and communities.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's good. I think let's just dive in. Let's get really political real quick, because that's always fun here in the United States, right?
Right.
But really, I don't care if someone's on the left, if someone's on the right. I truly believe that entrepreneurs are the ones who are going to save the world, right? People who can see something and think I can do it better, or maybe they don't want to be confined to their 9 to 5 and they want to build life on their own terms. What I found was I worked with a company called Rich Dad Education, or Elite Legacy Education, which was Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But they
Yes.
bought like a license from him to be able to do that, right? What I had the opportunity to fly around the vast majority of the United States for several years, and even went as far east as Hong Kong, in some different places internationally. One of the things that I found out is, especially in a small business, the CEO of that small business, whether you're a one man, one woman show, or maybe you have a small team of 5, 10, maybe 30, 50 people, it doesn't matter. Sometimes only one of the loneliest places on earth is being the CEO of a small business, right? What I found was a lot of people didn't necessarily volunteer to go into entrepreneurship, but they were almost thrust into it. Now, there's a small percentage of people, I think they're just crazy and they love it. They love the chase and all of it and all that. And that's fine. They do just fine. But what I found was I was dealing with a lot of people coming to our conferences trying to provide for their families, trying to live a better life, trying to leave the next generation better than what they found it, right? And sometimes some people were in the same company for 17, 20 years, and they walked in on a Friday and walked out later on that day and found out they just lost their job. Or maybe a parent got sick, or maybe a child got sick, and that normal 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, didn't fit their lifestyle anymore. And so they took the plunge into entrepreneurship to try to be able to provide for their families. And what I found was, not only is being the CEO kind of a lonelier place for some people, but sometimes people don't have the support system to be able to thrive. I think your environment matters. And so Hope Lives was created by entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, to be the biggest cheerleaders of whatever the idea is, because I think tomorrow can be better than today. Just because your past is tainted, your future is spotless. And Hope Lives is a place where people who have been kicked in the teeth and come out of that want to be able to give back to those who are maybe getting kicked in the teeth right now, and they don't know where to look for help, because not everybody has a board. Not everybody has a C-level suite. Not everybody has all this experience, and people are just trying to put the puzzle together as they go. We want to be able to support what people's dreams are and let them know that they're not alone, and we want to be their cheerleader. So that's why Hope Lives kind of came to be.
Wow, that's incredible. It's amazing. It resonates with me a lot, and for sure this generation. I noticed that you have an incredible way of blending humor and heart with actionable insight. So, what kind of transformation do you see in your clients and the workshop attendees?
Yeah, I think one of the things sometimes is, look, if you're in the middle of a maze or you're in it, whatever it is, right? But we know whatever it is may not be the most fun thing in the world. If we can get people to kind of hit the reset button, right? And kind of recalibrate, we call it recharging. So reset, recharge, and so you can relaunch into whatever calling or whatever purpose you have. What we found was sometimes humor does that. Sometimes playing a game can snap people out of it. So whether I'm working with C-level executives or I'm working with people on the front lines, it's like, how do we incorporate some sort of level of fun? Right. And it doesn't mean like everybody's going bungee jumping tomorrow or we're all going to go skydiving and whatever. Sometimes it's as simple as like having a potluck, right?
Yes.
And stuff like that are just kind of getting out of our element. I'll share one quick story that is just very recent over the last couple of weeks. One of the things that I try to do is I try to bring my children along as much as possible into what I'm doing so they can understand that they can be the change that they want to see in the world, right? Because I believe very strongly that I don't think people care what you say. I think they care more what you do, right? And so personally, I have been like not on the AI train at all. I'm like, I want real, I want authentic, I want that human interaction. And I don't want someone just placating to me because they
Yeah.
ran stuff through Chat GPT, right? But over the last couple of weeks in particular, I've learned that this is the future. And if we
Yes.
can learn to harness this the right way, it's like learning to harness electricity for the first time. If you don't respect the rules or the laws, you can get shocked, right? You can get burned or something bad can happen. But if you learn how to harness it, right? Don't tell me that the sky's the limit when someone's walked on the moon type of a thing, right?
Yes.
So learning more with I have a 12-year-old son, I have a 9-year-old daughter. They could freaking care less sometimes about cash conversion cycles. They can care less what the conversations I have from a day-to-day basis, but I've noticed that they're not learning how to do AI yet in their classrooms. Well, what an opportunity, right, to bring them along with me in some of this. So instead of working out like a Google sheet and telling AI to do this, that, or the other thing, what we did is I had them take some pictures of dad here, right? Upload them and try to tell Chat GPT what to do. And they thought it was hilarious because some of the prompts didn't, the results weren't quite there.
Right.
And it's returning a picture of me with like 6 eyes. And they just thought it
So
was
basically, you were trolling ChatGPT,
yeah, well, or Chat GPT was trolling me. I have no idea, right? Like I'll just take it as I it as it
which
is.
is nothing wrong with that.
But what I found was is some people don't think to do that or bring in like your
Yes.
kids want to know. They want to be like I grew up in a time where like I wasn't sure what my dad did for a living. He just went to work and we came home, there was food on the table and okay, great.
Yes.
But I think that that human interaction starts at home. That fun kind of starts at home. And if you can have a little bit of that fun and then start to tell the stories and encourage, we encourage other small business owners, clients of ours, people in our community, just to look for those things. Because if you can have fun with that, when you're in it, whatever it is, it makes it more doable. It makes it
Doable.
more worth it. I think Darren Hardy talks about this in his book, The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. And he argues like 90% of the things that we do as entrepreneurs are terrible and it's hard and it's not fun, right? But when that 5 to 10% is fun, and I might be throwing off the percentages here, right? But
Right.
when we can grip onto that, sometimes when we can have fun, it makes it doable.
Yeah. Well, take for example podcasting in my case. This is fun. I love talking to people. I love having these conversations. What's not fun is the editing, is all that nitty gritty things that goes backstage. And that's when you're like, oh, when is this going to end? But then you think about that moment, that fun, that conversation. That's what keeps you going.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very thankful for those moments.
Hopefully you have good editing software to help with this,
Oh,
right? If your listeners are seeing this right in front of their screen, I'm just going to apologize to people right now.
no,
Please
no,
find a
no,
good
no.
filter.
Well, we
That'd be
want to
great.
be authentic though.
Fine, fine, fine.
we wanna be real. So
Fine.
in the past, or I don't know how, you've spoken about a powerful turning point in 2001. We can touch a little bit on that. I'll let you tell us the story. What happened in 2001?
But yeah, I think a lot of people could probably look back at 2001 and say that could be a turning point in their life. I'll just start the story in August 2001. I just turned 18. It was like literally on my 18th birthday. I was with a church youth group. We were on like a camping trip. It was like a weekend type thing. And the first day we were doing whitewater rafting. The second day we were going spelunking, which I didn't even know was a thing until, it's cave diving for those who, or
Yes.
whatever that is. Um, and I'm with I just turned 18. I'm with a youth group. It's not like we're taking on like the toughest rapids or going 5 miles into the center of the earth type of thing. Right. Um, but what happened was we went whitewater rafting and we had gotten a lot of rain up to that point in the summer. So river levels were high and the rapids were a little bit more forceful. And the first rapid of the day was it turned out to be a really tough one for a lot of people. If you've never been whitewater rafting, and I had it, and I have not since, and I have no plans to go back again, what they tell you is if you get bumped and you fall out of the raft, right, or you get launched out, don't try to stand up in the middle of the rapid. What they have you do is you lay back and you let the current take you down, but keep your feet up so you don't get stuck in a rock or anything like that. So what
Wow.
happened was this first rapid of the day, right? We had, I don't know, there was a big group of us. I don't even remember how many rafts there were, but there were more than like three or four. The guide was supposed to send one raft through the rapid. And when they got completely out of the rapid, then the next raft was supposed to go. Well, the first rapid was you hit a rock and you were supposed to bounce off that rock and you're supposed to turn and get through the rapid. But what was happening was when one raft would go through, they'd hit that rock and they would bounce off. Instead of letting them get through the entirety of the rapid, once somebody hit the rock, the guide sent the next raft. And we can't see too far ahead of us. We didn't know what was going on. We're just doing what we were told, right?
Right.
So, raft in front of us hits that rock, bounces off, and they're making their way through the rapid. And they send another one. They bounce off the rock, and then they sent the next raft. Well, what was happening is when they would bounce off that rapid, there would already be another raft there. So rafts were kind of colliding into each other. And I got caught in the crosshairs of that. And I got launched out of the raft. And luckily, I wasn't like doom scrolling on my phone. That didn't even exist in 2001. I was actually paying attention to like the life saving
Yeah.
2 minute video I had to watch before I went down into the raft. So I laid back, put my feet up, started gliding through the rapid. And at this point, I'm going under the water, I'm above water, I'm under the water, and then I couldn't come above. And what happened was I went underwater and my raft hit the rapid and landed right on top of me. And I've heard people in a similar situation, they always talk about life flashes before your eyes. Yeah, that happens, right? But also 10 seconds can feel like an eternity, right? And so it was this weird dynamic of like things happening and all these memories coming through. And then it felt like you were there kind of forever. Luckily, I had enough sense to grab this, like, I recognize I'm under a raft and I recognize I was able to grab the rope and those in the boat grabbed my arm and yanked me up, right? And we got through the rapid and pulled off, and that type of situation happened with a couple other people too. They got stuck in the rapid and people were coming out, and that was the pretty much the end of our whitewater rafting day. But I got stuck under a boat and I guzzled a bunch of water. It was very, very scary. And so that was day one of this trip. And so that's something that I've always had in the back of my mind. What if that was the end? What would my legacy be, kind of a thing? And what am I so afraid of? It started at that day. Well, the next day we went spelunking and we're watching a video there. They're like, you're a teenage boy. I think to be young, in order to be old and wise, you got to be young and dumb too, right? And
Yes.
Teenage boy. I'm probably young and dumb at this point, right? And they're telling us not to horse around too much because if you get hurt in the cave, it could take several hours for someone to come and help or get you out of there or whatever that is. Well, the day before, I kind of learned my lesson. Just pay attention and don't do stupid stuff because this is already dangerous enough. Well, somewhere along the way, we're wearing like helmets with like a flashlight on top, and I'm not watching where I'm going. My foot gets stuck between two craters. And for a brief moment there, now I'm going, this just happened yesterday. What the heck is going on now? Luckily, about 30 seconds later, my buddy's making fun of me. He's like, chill out, just take your shoe off. You're going to be fine. But for that 30 seconds, it's like immediate trauma response, fight or flight. The world's coming down. You don't know what's happening. Right. And so that's kind of a back to back thing. But instantly I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be stuck here
Right.
for hours. Luckily, it was okay. Well, that's in the middle of August in 2001. A few weeks later, I'm a senior in high school sitting in art class, right? And we have the news on, and my teacher actually walks in and starts kind of yelling at the class, like, get the movie off. I didn't tell you you were allowed to watch a movie. You had to watch the news. I'm like, bro, it's CNN. The plane flew into the Twin Towers. And so in a
Yes.
very short period of time, I have like this near death experience. I'm watching the world kind of change in real time. So that had a huge, huge effect on me. And I think that's when I kind of learned that traditional 9 to 5, just go punch a time card. I'm in a place right now, it's a place called Youngstown, Ohio, is where I'm sitting right now talking and having this podcast. I tell people it's kind of like the land that time forgot. It's like this old Rust Belt community that had a bunch of steel mills back in the day. They all got closed down. You need a tetanus shot to get into the city here, but it's home, and I love it here. It's great, but it's almost like the land that time forgot. And that whole just go get a union job, go punch your time card, that also went away overnight as well. And so, curiosity, what I have found, and taking the guidance of, there was a gentleman by the name of Zig Ziglar who was pretty popular back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Everybody can Google him, but he said one thing that had a tremendous impact on me. He said, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. And so serving is the name of the game. Serving others well will never go out of business. I don't care if you're in real estate. I don't care if you're developing AI bots. I don't care if you're, designing things on Canva to sell them on Etsy. I don't care. Serving people will never, ever go out of business.
I believe it. I mean, that's a pretty powerful mindset. I mean, it's so aligned with what we explore here on Life Unscripted. We're talking about transformation, courage, and also making conscious decision making. And so, but I also want to talk to you about your leadership philosophy, because I know you. I was on your website, and again, you talk about serve to lead, also showing that you care. That's also an important one. And then also that true leadership isn't just about titles, it's actually about service. And so can you tell me a little bit more on that? I know you touched point about the first one, serving to lead, but what about showing to care in the true leadership part?
Yeah, I think one of my mentors is John Maxwell. Right? I'm part of his team. I've got to sit into a lot of his teachings and be around a lot of people, just good people that's been affected by him in a positive way. He came out with a book years ago called Winning with People. And at the end of the day, you win with people, the good, the bad, the ugly, the flaws in between, right? You win with people. And one of the things I've learned is, and when you're in leadership, not a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people talk about being a leadership expert. But one of the things in leadership, it's messy. It's hard, right?
Yes.
Not everyone's going to like you every moment of every day. And that's something that's one of the reasons why being a CEO of a small business in particular can feel so lonely, right? And one of our core values for our company is grace and truth, right? And there needs to be some sort of push and pull and balance and all of that. We can't be so graceful in leadership where if someone's showing up to work late or not getting their tasks done, everything is, oh, it's okay. We'll just do it later. It'll be okay. It'll all work out in the end. It's like this. It doesn't work, right? It doesn't provide consistency, but you also can't keep beating people over the head with a hammer, going, get your stuff done. Is it done yet? Is it perfect? And so people are so worried whether they're going to make a mistake or not, right? So it's a balance of grace and truth, right? We want to work really hard. And one of the philosophies we really take from this is from a football coach who was a head coach at Notre Dame for a very long time. He's been a few different places, but a guy by the name of Lou Holtz. And I think he put this really in perspective for me. He put it in perspective for those we serve. And we talk about this a lot is Lou Holtz has three main rules. Number one is do right. Do right. Right. Because when you do right, you let people around you know that they can trust you. Because that's what people really are trying to figure out, especially as a leader. Can I trust you? Right. So do right. That's one. Number two is do everything to the best of your ability. Right. But in the time allotted, right? Deadlines matter, right? You got to have them.
Yes.
Okay. And it's all good. Um, because I think not only are people trying to ask, can I trust you, but are you committed? Are you committed to excellence? Because a lot of people talk about saving the world or serving humanity, but they never leave behind their desk, right? Or, I'm sorry, nobody cares about the meme that you're posting on social media. They want to know when stuff hits the fan, when that rubber hits the road, can I trust you and are you committed? So I think
Absolutely.
do right, do everything to the best of your ability, and then show people that you care. I heard this first from John Maxwell. Other people a credit to other people, but people don't care how much you know until you know how much, until they know how much you care. That's why we try to have fun. That's why I try to look for ways that people are trying to create a better life for their family. Well, bring your family along, right? Where we're at now, have some fun with AI. Let AI make a picture with six eyes, and let your kids laugh, right? Because at the end of the day, I think people are asking, "Can I trust you? Are you committed? And do you care?" And if you're able
Absolutely.
as a leader to check those three boxes, it's a very powerful, you can create a very powerful movement.
And those are some values that people are craving during this fast paced world that we're in. I mean, we have to be able to adapt. Let's put it that way.
So
Because if
true.
we don't, then we're going to be left behind. So, and then you did say something earlier. Let me see if I remember. Even though your past is tainted, your future is spotless.
Yes.
Hope lives. Where did that message came from?
I read that in a book somewhere. I wish I remember where. I wish because I want to be able to give credit where credit is due. And I try that. That's why I've referenced John Maxwell, Lou
Yes.
Holtz. But somebody said it, maybe it was a Sunday sermon or maybe it was something like that. I don't remember. But especially over this past week when a lot of people celebrated this redemption story, I don't think anybody gets out of life unscathed. I think we all have a story. I think it's the old adage that you don't know what people are going through, so just be nice. Right? You're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. You're not
Yeah.
seeing everything that's happening. Right. And I think that's a message that people really want. And I think it resonates that, yeah, you may have been kicked in the teeth. Or, yeah, maybe something bad happened to you and you had no control over that wasn't your fault. Or maybe you made a dumb decision and you got to deal with those bad consequences from that. But that
Yeah.
doesn't have to define you. That
Yeah.
doesn't have to make you who you are. You get to dictate, for the most part, how you respond to that. And whatever happened yesterday is gone. Whatever has happened right now, just be present, kind of a thing. But tomorrow can be better than what today was. Tomorrow can be better than what happened 10 years ago. Doesn't matter.
I am convinced that in order to win, you have to lose. You have to, because otherwise, how would you know what win looks like if you don't know what it's like to lose? It's kind of like many things, and I really like, whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. I'm going to be honest with you. I know who said it, but I am Latino, so I cannot, I cannot pronounce Frederick Nietzsche. Nietzsche. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I
How
don't know,
would
I
you
can't
say it?
pronounce it either. I bet you can say cool things in
In
Spanish or some
Spanish.
sort of romantic language. I'm gonna say
I
like
don't
the
know if
white
it'll
guy
be
from
cool,
Ohio
but
with can't roll my R's. I have no idea. But you're right. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
so yeah, so this is I really like that, and I was like, I'm gonna ask him where did that came from. And I know you mentioned that perhaps you're not necessarily promoting, a book because I do have authors and speakers here, but it seems to me that you are offering resources to our listeners that add value. You are talking about leadership, serving, and all those things. I think that's very valuable. Where can our listeners follow you?
Well, I'm very Googleable. Right now, I'm going to tell you this is we're a startup, right? And it's not something that's been around for 9,000 different years, right? We don't have like a newsletter that we're going to spam people with 9,000 emails all the time. Just Google me, reach out. You can go to our Hope Lives website. You can email
So you
us.
do
I'm one of the
workshops?
we do workshops. We have some stuff coming up around the bend, kind of a thing. But what I'll do is I'll send you some resources, and maybe when you post this or someone reaches out to you, we can just give people some resources to help them out, and that can be for your listeners, right? So I'll
That
just
is
send that over to
awesome.
you, and we'll just again, it's about serving others. It's about setting up people for success as much as possible. So until we have all our socials figured out and whatever, and I think that's one of the things that it's going to be a little different. We're not trying to post 9,000 different places, 9,000 different times. And I think people are overwhelmed with that. I really do.
Yes.
And look, we're not for everybody, but we are for some, right? And our goal is not to overwhelm people with a bunch of information because here's what's tough about hope. Hope is a drug if you don't put action behind it. And if I give so much, I feel like if I give so much value sometimes, or if I say, hey, go download this or go get this resource. And I think there's probably plenty of people who've gone to a workshop and paid money for a course or a mentor, and they gave you, I don't know, hours upon hours of video. And who has time to research that? I will send your
Right.
listeners some bullet points that are actionable, right? And when it comes back to, we're talking about fun, if behind me, I don't know if this is going to be a video thing, but behind me is the places you'll go. And what you can't see is there's a couple other kids' books. What we used to do, by the way, is send people books like Good to Great from Jim Collins or a really big book from John Maxwell, because there's so much meat in there, right? But what we found is a lot of people don't read a 300-page book because not a lot of people have the time.
Yes.
But if we can find a children's book and we can take 10 minutes to read through that together, and we can give an experience. And instead of me being this sage from the stage, I don't think I'm saying stuff that people haven't heard before. What I
Right.
want to do, what our desires and what Hope Lives does is we want to bring the community voice and almost be like a guide from the side because you have viewpoint that I don't have, right? I don't know what it's like to be Latina in America. I don't know what it's like to live in Texas, but I'd like to know. I'm curious. And I'd like to know what your viewpoint is on a few things. So
You really want to know?
I do. I really do.
Okay, so I wrote a book. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called The Courage to Succeed: A True American Dream, right? And I'm going to give you a little story, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
I started this podcast. I, this was just like one day. It just occurred to me, like actually December, right? Because I wrote this book. This is a book that's been in my mind since I'm 16 years old. Like at 16, I said I'm going to write a book. What's interesting though, at 17, unfortunately, I lost my mother, and I was the only child. I had no sisters. I lived in Colombia, right? Things happen. I found myself. I had the opportunity to come to America when I was about 20, 21, somewhere in that. It was again. It's something that just happened. It's just like I just because after I lost my mother, I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Although people told me you're crazy, you're gonna go to a country you have no family, you know nobody. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? To me, I kind of lost all fear in that. So I came to America, and I wanted to be a physician since I'm 5 years old. But that was a road. That was tough. I did not know how to speak English much. I mean, I knew a few little words here and there. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I got some stories in here. But yeah, but I taught myself in a way. I went through, like you say, with the help of community, help, friends, church, actually. I live in this place, the next place. I mean, it was incredible in so many ways. And so instead of going to medical school, I ended up going to nursing school because not only because that was the only most affordable option for me, but also because I actually fell in love with it as I was working as a technician and I saw the work that the nurses were doing, again, the whole service. And so I really liked it. The college, the community college, at that time I was living in Florida. Community college was literally right across the street. So I would work during the day and I would go to school at night. But it took me literally 10 years. I mean, I know it sounds weird. Not because, yeah, because the first 3 years, you had, the whole legality to come here and do paperwork and more stuff. Finally, and so I had to work during the day and then take like one class here, one there. It's just like finally, and then of course, as I was accepted into nursing school, I had to figure out the ways to keep myself. Anyway, so I graduated, and ever since, I mean, again, the whole story is here. But the whole point, and I talk about so many things in here, like you mentioned, my point of view. I talk a lot about, besides my life story, I talk about individuality in the sense. One of the points is I come here and somehow, because I grew up in Colombia, right? Where I was just Colombian. I mean, I heard about Hispanic people, but to me, Hispanics were somebody who came from Spain, not, okay. But I come to America and I'm supposed to be, there's this box for me out there that and people were expecting me to act a certain way. And I'm like, hold on, what? So according to people, perhaps I was supposed to be more of a kind of like a liberal. Well, guess what? Bad news. More conservative. I was supposed to, so I was somehow. I mean, that was my perception at the time. I was somehow supposed to be uneducated. Well, bad news. I mean, come on. My mom, my dad, they were both teachers. I love school. I'm a go getter from the beginning. So, anyways, but it was great in the sense that I was like, okay, you guys expect this from me. And by the way, coming from Colombia, also there were the jokes about, well, Pablo Escobar and the whole cocaine thing. And I'm like, nope, nope, none of that. So I did talk about that too. So yeah, very, very interesting. I'm very, very grateful and happy because I was able to make something out of myself because the world was basically telling me, well, you lost your mom, you got nothing. I was doomed. I was doomed to be lost. I had nobody, I had no family, I was doomed to get lost, in a sea of who knows what, but that's not the case. That's not what happened. And so, because of that, now I speak. Now I talk to people and I basically tell them, like, hey, everyone, you have the courage. Everyone has the courage to do whatever it is that they want to do. You want to have a family, you go for it. You want to be whatever it is you want to do. And by the way, so I not only went to nursing school, I finished nursing school, I got a master's in nursing education, and I got a postmaster as a nurse practitioner. So I'm a nurse practitioner.
Oh, that's
So,
great. Congratulations.
yes,
That's fantastic.
yes. And I have a family, I have a husband, 2 kids, and a dog. See?
That's great.
And yeah, and I love it here in Texas. I like it here. I've been here for like 10 years now. And I mean, I love talking. I'm not afraid to talk in front of people or anything, so it's great. So again, I wanted to share the message that's in my book with people. So I started a podcast, and next thing, people like you were reaching out and saying, "Hey, I have a story to share. Let's talk about it." And this has been an amazing. It's been great to me because it's also like therapeutic for me. It's a lot of socialization, a lot of networking, so I'm not necessarily, I mean, other than my book, send people, hey, go get my book. Other than that, I'm really not selling anything. I mean, I'm just allowing, for me, again, that whole idea of serving. I love the idea of collaboration. I have people that come here and say, hey, like you, I have this small company, or I'm an author, or I'm doing this. And so it's about collaboration. So here we are.
Can I jump in here for a quick moment?
Sure, absolutely.
I want to be able to say thank you to you for what you one of the things you said in there that was really encouraging to me. And I think sometimes, again, just working with entrepreneurs, right, for almost over a decade now in places all around the world, I think sometimes people overestimate what they can get done in a few weeks or in a year, but underestimate what they can get done in like a decade, right?
Yes.
And your story of resilience, it didn't matter what was happening. It didn't matter what other people were saying, but to believe in yourself and just go get it, right? That took a long time. And I'm sure it was all sunshine, rainbows, and daisies, and so easy all the time. I'm just kidding, right? But the perseverance and the grit, right,
Yes.
that you develop through that is really encouraging to me.
Right, like not giving up because it's easy to give up when things are not going your way, when it's taking so long and all these things and even people, But you know what I did? I just did this. I didn't listen to anything. I just kept on going. I just kept doing, when you have a goal in mind, when you're looking at that, then whatever the rest is just noise. And I just kept on going.
I think this is where environment matters. And if
Yes.
you have the courage and the discipline and the self-assuredness to do that, to focus, cover your ears, and just grind, that's great. If you don't, right? Because there's people probably listening that probably don't have that or can't or tried and maybe they failed. They're trying again. This is why community matters. Some people call it a coach, some people call it a mentor. It could be a combination, or whatever that is. Whatever that looks like, I would just encourage anybody listening. It's important to make sure that you have people in your life, even if they don't have the same last name as you, because sometimes your family doesn't get it either. And that's
Oh yeah.
okay. But you have to be able to put people in your life that can see something in you that you cannot see in yourself. Because sometimes the greatest critic that you have is the person looking right back at you in the mirror.
Yes. And I have those, and I call those angels. And I mentioned that in here. There's some people who believed in me, who just, were there, gave me a hand. But it also helps. You're right. You said environment. So it's like a 50-50. You got these people that believe in you, but also you got to believe in yourself. And so it's like a great combination of those. And then also that whole resiliency that comes with being born in the 90s in Colombia, South America, and the
100%.
era of bombings. And I talk about all that. I talk about, it's easy. To me, it was either I will survive, or I don't know, I wouldn't be here. It was going to be one way or the other.
Yeah.
It was because the other way around was, it's a lot of trauma growing up. I mean, you name it. And of course, the way I lost my mother, when I was young. I mean, that's rough. That
Yeah.
was pretty rough. But here I am, and so living to tell the story.
Yeah. That's great.
So yeah. But yeah. Do you have anything else? Like, I know we talked a little bit about everything, but is there anything else that you want to tell our listeners? Perhaps that if nothing else, they can take that one thing with them.
That's a great question. I um I think a lot of conversations that I'm having now with people in our community or different entrepreneurs, parents, I think one of the things that was told to me quite a while ago is time is the only resource that's non-renewable. This is the only we're recording this on April 21st, right? This is
Right.
the only April 21st, 2025 that you'll ever have, right?
Absolutely.
So time is not renewable. However, one of the things that I'm learning is not only is time very important, but where you put your attention matters. And anybody listening to this, I would really encourage you to be present in whatever's happening. And especially if you're a small business owner, especially if you're in the middle of a grind right now, it's so easy to be at the dinner table with your family or your children or your spouse or whatever and staring at your phone, doom scrolling and not paying attention to other people or worried about, did the contract come into the email? What's this attorney say? Did my CPA get back to me? Or did they file my taxes? Like there are so many things, it's like a whirlwind going through your brain all the time. But be present. If you're at work and if you're in a meeting, focus on that. Put on the do not disturb. If you're with your children, focus on your kids. It's not the amount of time I think sometimes that you spend with people or doing what you're doing, it's the attention that you're given. And give that attention, try to be as present as you can be. And when you can do that, those three rules about doing right, doing everything to the best of your ability, and show people that you care when they're asking the questions of, can I trust you? Are you committed? And do you care? That'll happen naturally because so many people are staring at their phones or staring out into the sunset, not paying attention. If you can show up and be present, you will separate yourself from the pack and it will separate you as a leader because it'll prove by paying attention and being present that you are trustworthy. That's what I would encourage your listeners to think about.
Thank you for bringing that up. In fact, that is something that I have mentioned here in the past, and I can attest to that, that it is possible. Ever since I'm multi jogging, all these things, that's one of the things that I put in front of my mind. Now more than ever, the busier you get, the more present you need to be. That was like what's, for example, I have this time, from this time to this time, my whole undivided attention is right here. I'm just enjoying this moment. From this, then the moment I'm with my kids, I'm with them, and it's helping me. It's been an amazing journey. I also have, when I'm in the clinic and I have to take care of my patients, I'm thinking about them. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not, like you say, and it is possible, especially if you put it in your mind, because that is the only way that we cannot burn out, especially when we're like solopreneurs like me. I call myself solopreneur because we're trying to do all these little things, but mainly is enjoy what you do. Because the moment that you stop enjoying the things you do, what else? What's there? You know?
Yeah. And the one other thing, one caveat I'll give to all that is give yourself grace. You're not going to be,
Yes.
not you, but it's anybody who's listening, you're not going to be
Right.
perfect of every moment of every day. You're going to be with your kids and you're going to see an email come through your phone. And you're going to be like, what the heck just happened? Right. It's okay. Just give yourself grace. Do the best you can with the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
It's all.
I had moments. I have to had those moments, but you know what? You need to learn how to take those with. I've been here, and hopefully not with other guests, but like at one time I was doing a podcast with my husband, and my child just walked in, and we kept going. So it worked out. Just gotta learn how to take life
Yep.
as it goes, because it's short too, Well, remind us again, where can we connect with you?
Just Google me. I'm on
Google
all the
you.
socials, right? You can go to our website, submit a form.
That's right. I
But
think
what
you're
I'll
on
do is
Facebook.
I'll provide you some resources so people can either download it with wherever you load this up or reach out to you, and I'll include all that. But I'll give your listeners some resources.
Awesome. And I always do a blog article of our conversation. I put it on my blog, and so I'll send it to you as well with a call to action and all that. So, for the listeners, if today's episode spoke to you, please subscribe to the Life Unscripted podcast and share this with someone who could use a reminder that hope lives. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook at Rosabel Unscripted, YouTube, The Life Unscripted with Rosabel, to stay up to date with new episodes, behind the scenes stories, and more conversations that matters. So until next time, remember, your story is powerful, your voice matters, and your future is unwritten. It is full of hope. Thank you, Dan. It was a pleasure having you here.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to invite you, yes, you listening right now, to check out my book, The Courage to Succeed: A True American Dream. It is available now on Amazon and also Barnes & Noble. This is a story of resilience, grit, and what it really means to chase your dreams, even when the odds are stacked against you. If you ever face fear, failure, or uncertainty, this book will meet you right there and remind you that courage always has a voice. Just search The Courage to Succeed: A True American Dream by Rosabel Zohfeld on Amazon, or head to the link in the show notes, because your dream is worth it and your courage can take you there.